Well, I really want people to remember that healing is intrinsic to us. It's not something that somebody else, a doctor, a nurse, a physical therapist does to you. It's really part of your body's intrinsic capacity. That gives us a lot of power to get our bodies in the shape we want to get them into. And so keep that power. Remember that you have that capacity.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marx from GoToHealth. I hope you're having a wonderful day. From lingering colds to longer recoveries after injury or surgery to stubborn symptoms that just feel impossible to shake, many people wonder why it's so hard to feel better. A new book explores a new approach to recovering and the small intentional changes that may play a role in the healing process. The AARP book, Heal Faster, examines what author Dr. Victoria Maizes calls the body's rapid recovery reflex, its built-in ability to restore balance after illness, injury, or stress. Drawing on decades of medical experience, the book looks at how inflammation, sleep, stress, and nutrition influence healing, and why addressing root causes rather than focusing on only symptoms may support the body's natural recovery process. Dr. Maizes is a physician and professor of medicine at the University of Arizona, and she can discuss how people can take ownership of their recovery from illness and injury, how the body's natural inflammatory response plays a role in healing, and how to build a personal recovery toolkit with practical strategies to support physical and mental health at any age. You can learn more about her book at aarp.org/healfaster. And before we get to Dr. Maizes, a request. If you don't mind, please give us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, or a thumbs up. It helps more people find the show and get this information out. Thanks in advance. So welcome to the show, Victoria Maizes. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you.
Good. So tell us about your new book, Heal Faster, and how you hope it will influence people in their recovery.
So isn't that what we all want? We all want to heal faster. And it turns out that there are many things that people can do to get better from this terrible cold and flu season that we're in, from things that are longstanding like type 2 diabetes, or even to prepare for, we call it Prehab, for surgery, so that you have a better outcome from surgery. And I wrote the book to pull together all the evidence for the variety of things that just aren't particularly well known and yet are within our power as human beings to do, to improve our health, to restore our health, to prevent problems.
Good. So tell us, what is that rapid recovery reflex and how does it work?
So the rapid recovery reflex is really the innate healing mechanisms that we have in our bodies. It's our physiology, and we all are familiar with this. If we get a cold, we recover. Why is that? Because our immune system has a variety of mechanisms to fight viral infections and to restore our health. If we run up the steps, our blood pressure and our pulse respond by increasing, and that is to make sure that we have the blood flow we need to our brain and our muscles to get us up those steps. And then once we stop running up steps, all of that recovers. If we have a surgery and someone creates a large incision, yes, they may sew the edges together, but our body is really responsible for recovering from that surgery and from that surgical wound. So we have innate mechanisms that help that to happen. That's the natural order of things. If it doesn't happen, then I write about all of the ways in which we can get past the impediments and heal.
Good. So what kind of recovery are we talking about? Are we talking about colds and flus and viruses? Are we talking about cancer? Are we talking about chronic diseases? Tell us more about that.
Yes. So I divided the book into 3 sections. We're talking about things that are more short-lived, colds and viruses, musculoskeletal injuries like ankle sprains or biceps tendinitis. We're talking about when you just can't get a good night's sleep for one reason or another, or urinary tract infections. And then things that are considered more long-standing, heart disease, cardiac disease, depression, managing menopausal symptoms for women, and also a section on preparing for and recovering more easily from surgery.
Wow, this sounds like quite an amazing book with very, very helpful information. So tell us, how does stress and inflammation affect the recovery process?
Yeah, well, a little bit of stress is often good. I may feel a little stressed right now being on this program with you, but hopefully that'll help me perform better, right? A little stress can do that. But a lot of stress can be harmful to your healing mechanisms. For example, people who are caregivers, who are often under tremendous stress for long periods of time, so chronic stress, they often, it impedes their ability to heal. There was a study that showed when they had little skin biopsies, it took them 9 days longer to heal from that biopsy compared to people who were not caregivers. So that's just a very direct example of how it can take longer when you're stressed. Inflammation's, let's say, a bit more nuanced than that, because inflammation is actually part of our body's rapid recovery reflex. So if you twist your ankle, you may notice that it gets swollen, warm, tender. That's inflammation. And that inflammation is leading to increased blood flow to the area. It moves more white blood cells in. It moves more responses, immune responses that create a healing response to help you heal for that injury. And that's so clear to us now that we have stopped advising that people use anti-inflammatories like Motrin or naproxen, because that can impede the healing response of that ankle. We used to tell people, don't move it, just put an ace bandage, use crutches, don't walk on it. And now we very quickly have people, protect the joint, but walk on it again unless it's very, very badly injured, because that will help with the healing response of that ankle. So the problem is more in the chronic inflammation. And now we know that chronic inflammation is part of the root cause of things like heart disease or even Alzheimer's, depression, and things that end in itis, like ulcerative colitis or rheumatoid arthritis. Those are also chronic inflammation. So chronic inflammation is bad, but in the short term, acute inflammation can help you heal.
I'm so glad you're making this distinction, because I've been reading so much in the press about how bad any kind of inflammation is, and I really didn't realize the distinction that you're making today.
Yes, and some of that is really new knowledge, because with the ankle example, we used to tell people take Advil, ice it, and now we have people avoid doing things that interfere with that inflammatory response. In fact, we even have some data that shows that if you interfere with the acute inflammatory response, you may be increasing the likelihood of someone developing chronic pain. So that acute inflammatory response turns out to be very important to our healing.
Good. So tell us, what are some approaches to improving outcomes for specific ailments like hair loss or heart disease? What can we do?
Well, those are such different conditions. Okay, I'm just going to say, I'm going to be stereotyped here. No woman wants to lose her hair.
Yes.
Maybe many men don't want to either. So it's helpful to know that, one, you should get some lab work done. You should go to your doctor, because sometimes there is a reason, like thyroid disease, that you're losing hair, and you want to know that so you could specifically treat that. But micronutrient deficiencies can cause hair loss. That means that you need to be sure you're getting the right amount in a multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement. There are things you can put on your hair, essential oils that lead to hair growth. There are supplements that you could take that are very specific for increasing hair growth. And then there are really interesting new technologies. For example, red light therapy. Red light therapy, there are FDA cleared devices that are either like a baseball cap or a wand that you use on specific areas that'll stimulate hair growth. And there's even a new use of an old medicine. This is an old anti-hypertension or lowering of blood pressure. And we use it in a very, very low dose to stimulate hair growth in men and women.
Great. You've talked about hair loss. Let's talk a little bit about heart disease. What can we do there?
Yes. So heart disease, the number one killer in the United States, 80% of it is preventable through lifestyle changes. Some of them, of course, are not surprising. Please don't smoke. If you have high blood pressure, get it down to normal, either with medication or with lifestyle change. Manage your anger. Raging is not good for the heart. Manage your stress. That can be in a wide range of reasons. You can learn a breathing practice. You could do guided imagery. You could go out for a walk. Exercise, very good for the heart, helps prevent heart disease. Diet. There are a number of different dietary approaches. The Mediterranean diet, the DASH, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, but also what we call time-restricted eating, which is when you have a longer overnight fast so that, you don't eat for at least 12 hours and let your body reboot so that your metabolism is made more normal. And that helps in so many different ways. That time-restricted eating can be another useful strategy.
Tell us a little bit more about the benefits of fasting in this 12-hour fast. What do you mean our body resetting?
Yeah, this is really relatively new knowledge. It has a huge impact on the microbiome. So the microbiome are all of the bacteria, fungi, and viruses, some other organisms that live in our intestines. And they turn out to be incredibly important. They are important for our metabolism. They're important for immune function. They make neurotransmitters, more neurotransmitters made in the gut than in the brain, which is kind of astonishing. And so we have what we call a biological clock or a circadian rhythm. And it turns out that to support the microbiome, you don't want to eat at night. The microbiome has other work to be doing at night. And it is resetting the immune system. It is boosting the metabolism. And so you don't want to eat right before you go to sleep. 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep is the right interval. And you want to let the gut rest for at least 12 hours so that it can be really effective at doing its digestive work during the daytime when it is supposed to be doing that work, as opposed to at night when it has other things to do.
You've just told me I've got to stop doing my pre-bedtime snack.
Correct. That's exactly right. Most people, everyone is an individual, but most people would be much better off without that pre-bedtime snack. And I learned it for myself. I used to walk through my kitchen and grab a couple of chocolate-covered almonds. And now I don't do that anymore, now that I know about this science. I still eat them. I just don't eat them right before bed.
Got it. Good. So I'm interested in your background. You were the founding executive director of the Andrew Weill Center for Integrative Medicine. Tell us about that, because I know that's been such a huge movement in the integrative medicine space.
Yes. So I arrived there in 1998 as a fellow. And when I finished my fellowship, Dr. Andrew Weil asked me to stay on as the director, which I became the executive director. And I served in that role for 23 years. I'm now the founding executive director. And we took it from a very small program that trained 4 doctors a year. We now have a very large fellowship. We train 180 doctors each year. We also have a 100-hour program that embeds into residencies, family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics, et cetera. And in that program, we train more than 1,000 doctors each year. So we've really grown. We train allied health professionals. We train the public through our Body of Wonder podcast. We've got a bunch of different programs. And if people want to find a doctor who practices this way, we have a Find an Integrative Practitioner on our website as well.
Good. Tell us, what does integrative medicine mean to you?
It's really the thoughtful synthesis of what we learn in conventional medical school. I went to UCSF for medical school. I learned a lot, but it pays a lot of attention to the relationship between a doctor and patient. One person has one preference in how they want their health managed, and another has a different preference or belief system. And it prioritizes lifestyle. So we've just been talking about the things you can do, from sleep to food to movement to mitigating stress to reducing your exposure to environmental chemicals to tending to your relationships. All of these things end up having a tremendous effect on your overall health, well-being, longevity. And so these are things we prioritize in integrative medicine. And then when it is of value, we may add in the use of acupuncture or a dietary supplement or something else that's not really in the conventional toolkit.
Mm-hmm. Got it. I love your energy, doctor. It's wonderful.
Thank you. I've been very fortunate to practice this kind of medicine that helps people heal faster, get healthier, stay healthy.
Good. So the doctor has a book called Heal Faster. And again, you can learn more at aarp.org/heal faster. So Dr. Maizes, is there a question I haven't asked that I should have, or what kind of message would you like to leave with people today?
Well, I really want people to remember that healing is intrinsic to us. It's not something that somebody else, a doctor, a nurse, a physical therapist, does to you. It's really part of your body's intrinsic capacity. That gives us a lot of power to get our bodies in the shape we want to get them into. And so keep that power. Remember that you have that capacity.
Thank you. These are wonderful messages. I'm so glad you've come on the show today. Thank you, doctor.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Good. We've been talking with Dr. Victoria Maizes. She's the founding executive director of the Andrew Weill Center for Integrative Medicine, and she's a professor of medicine, family medicine, and public health at the University of Arizona. She's internationally recognized as a leader in integrative medicine. She lectures worldwide to academic and community audiences on women's health, vitality, environmental health, nutrition, and cancer. And again, she's the author of Heal Faster, and you can learn more at aarp.org/heal faster. Thanks, doctor, for being with us and bringing us this message.
Thanks so much. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. This has been Jonathan Marx with GoToHealth. And as we say at the end of every show, go to health. God bless. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Thanks, doctor. That was great.
Thank you. That was really fun.
Thank you for tuning in today to Go to Health. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marx in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show, join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at gotohealthmedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with Go to Health.